It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You're tuning into your Feel Good Breakfast Show. This is Expresso only on SABC3. Thank you for hanging out with us on this very chilly Wednesday morning. Now, we're talking finances next. Now, last month in one of our weekly finance segments, we actually discussed the different ways to save for retirement. Now, today, we are touching on retirement again, but in a slightly different light. Why do we retire? That's the question we're actually asking this morning. And where did the concept even come from? And in the modern world, where the life expectancy is way higher than it used to be, how can we ensure that we don't run out of money once we retire? And we're joined by certified financial planner Laura Winter from Fiscal Private Client Services to just help us out in this regard a little bit and see how we can properly retire easily. Laura, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Love it.
Thank you.
Retirement. Okay, still a long way for me to go, but obviously you need to start thinking about these things now. But I think before we unpack the financial side of it, retirement, where did this even come from?
Retirement and pension systems actually didn't really exist before the industrial era. Most people at that stage really carried on working until they couldn't work anymore. And then what you had was, because of advances in healthcare and medical science, people started living longer. So the working population naturally started aging. And because of that, there were less opportunities for younger people entering the workforce and greater unemployment amongst younger people, which brought with it a number of challenges. And then also the hallmark of the industrial era was a focus on productivity, progress, commercialization, efficiency. And somebody decided that older people stood in the way of that. There was actually an interesting paper written in the beginning of the 1900s where a doctor in the States basically said anyone over the age of 40 is useless in the work context.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, that's quite something. So largely politically motivated, the solution was to tell people after a certain age, you need to stop working.
And we talk about that certain age nowadays being 65. So how was that exactly said? How did they come to the 65 age?
Well, I find it quite interesting, and it's quite a random age, really.
Yeah.
One of the first sort of examples we have of a pension type system was developed in the late 1800s in Germany, and Chancellor Otto von Bismarck, the chancellor at the time, there was growing demands for democracy. So what he did was he basically said, in order to generate support amongst the working population, he basically said, if you get to 70 and you're still working, in certain circumstances, I will pay your pension for the rest of your life. And apparently that age 70 was completely random. It was based on a biblical reference to 70 years. It had no other basis.
Oh, okay.
And then what's also interesting is that the average life expectancy at that stage was only 46 years. So very few people actually lived until the point that they could claim a pension. And that's why they then later on reduced the age to 65. And there were a couple of systems coming in around the world at that time, the first private pension in the US, and they all sort of picked the age to 60, 65, 70, thereabouts.
All right, they're around. All right, well, it's a very interesting topic this morning because obviously retiring young at the age of 65 with medical advances, we're living longer. You need to start properly planning, because you'll have a lot of time of not doing anything. And what are you going to do with that time? And how are you going to be supporting yourself and maybe your partner that's still with you? We're going to be talking about that a little bit later on with Laura. Right now, though, let's cross over to Ilana with some parenting.
Oh,